Hi everybody, Shane here at the Brick House, back again with another video. Today I'm super excited to present to you my review of the Lamborghini Countach. This is an alternate build of set 10295, the creator expert Porsche 911, designed by Firas Legos Cars. Now, there are a lot of great designers out there across the world and a lot of great mocks out there. The challenge is that usually there are so many pieces that you have to buy from so many different people that the price becomes cost prohibitive. A set that generally may cost $200 at Lego will end up costing you 2, 3, sometimes 4 times as much when you try to build a mock, because the pieces are so expensive and you have to buy them from so many different people. And so oftentimes it's cost prohibitive. So when I see an alternate build, when all of the pieces are from one set, I get really excited, especially when it's a Lamborghini Countach. All of the pieces used to build this Lamborghini come from this set. There's nothing else you need to buy. However, there are some additional pieces I bought that I'll get into later. Growing up as a kid in the 80s, the Lamborghini Countach was the quintessential sports car. There was not a kid in the world who loved cars who didn't have a poster of a Lamborghini Countach. It was by far the coolest, the sexiest, the baddest vehicle that every kid hoped to one day own. From its low stance to its super cool wing, and of course, the gull wing doors, which are quintessential Lamborghini. The car was just an unbelievably amazing thing, and it's actually the sports car that really the term exotics came from. So today I'm going to let you know my thoughts about the build of it as well as the design. So let's get into it. Now the instructions for this are 322 pages and you get them as a PDF. They are step by step, they are colorized, they are easy to follow, and they're very similar to traditional Lego instructions. I didn't print them out to save the paper and the ink. I used them on my laptop and scrolled through the PDF page by page, but they're super simple to follow. Now, as many of you know, when you get a Lego set and you first open it up, all of the pieces are separated in numbered bags. And that's because Lego has kind of reduced the number of pieces you have to look at and try to sort through as you go section by section through your build. Since this is a mock and is designed completely from scratch and doesn't follow any of the Lego instructions, it does not follow the numbered bags of the Porsche 911. As often is the case, you start building the rear chassis of the vehicle, and as I got 50, 60 pieces in, I was already into bag 4 or 5. And so my advice to you is when you get the set, open up all the bags and sort it so that it's easier to kind of piece through all the parts. I sort by color because it's easier to sort by 6 or 7 different colors than hundreds of different pieces, but whatever works for you. The Porsche 911 set might have taken me 2 to 3 hours to build. This set took me double that, almost 6-7 hours, because it was so time consuming looking at all the pieces. Instead of looking at 200 pieces on your table, you're looking at 1,100 pieces, which just takes a lot of time to sort through. Interestingly enough, in the olden days, Lego did not number their bags. Lego had one bag and all the pieces, and you had to sort through them. So this is kind of a throwback to the old days of Lego. It is a challenging build because you have to look through all these pieces. There are a lot of unique building techniques that are used here, but overall it's an incredibly satisfying build. Now, as you begin building this set, you start out, as I said, with the chassis, just the back end of the chassis, not the front. That comes later. And then you start building up this midsection and a part of the firewall. 200 pieces in, it doesn't look like much. It just looks kind of like this mass. And there are often times when I started building this that I started getting nervous by the construction because there's a lot of unique techniques. There is one time here in the front where a large Lego piece is held on just by 2 studs and it looks incredibly unstable. 3 or 4 pieces later, the designer comes back and really supports the thing that you were worried about. This is clearly a display piece, but it is incredibly solid. I mean, it has weight to it. It is well built. I didn't think the steering was going to be functional, but as you can see, the steering is clearly functional. So from a build standpoint, I was really happy to see that. As far as other build functionality, the front hood opens up, the rear spoiler opens up, engine compartment opens up, and of course the quintessential gull wing doors. So there are a lot of neat techniques. These pieces right here, these air intakes, actually sit on a hinge for a while and have nothing to support them. But once you put in these rear quarter panels, this then bends into place to give these quintessential Lamborghini angles. So overall, it's a really exciting build. As I said, it took 6-7 hours to put together because I had to look through so many pieces. And overall, I was happy and satisfied with the build. Now, as far as the design goes, from a visual standpoint, it is undeniably and unmistakably a Lamborghini Countach. From its low stance and low center of gravity to its wide body and the proportions of the vehicle, which I think Firas nailed. I mean, it is a short, boxy vehicle. The design and look of it is actually incredible. The front is undeniably Lamborghini Countach with its sloped nose, and the rear of the vehicle looks just like a Lamborghini. It visually looks amazing. Now, there are some things that I'm going to point out that I have issues with. There are two fairly large gaps right here on the hood, and that's just because of this incredibly sloping angle of the nose that it's really impossible to fix. And it's small enough where it's not such a big deal. My biggest issue with the vehicle is the front windscreen. Now, if you notice, this is not connected. It just kind of folds into place. This is one of those unique building techniques. And in addition, there is just this rectangular windscreen when clearly you need a tapered windscreen. Now, you can buy a tapered windscreen. There is one from a retired 3-in-1 set called the Blue Racer, and it's probably one of the few, if not the only sets that has the 12x1 tapered windscreen. It's in a kind of matte black. And since it's so rare, I see people selling them on Bricklink and other places for, $40, $50, $60, which is absolutely ridiculous. You should never pay $40, $50, $60 for a windscreen. What I did is I went to a site called WeBrick, which has off-brand Lego pieces, and this windscreen I bought for 69 cents. So I had that delivered along with some additional white pieces, which I'll explain why I bought those as well. Another part of the set that, just drives me a little crazy is, as you can see, there is a huge gap under the door here. And that's because to get this angle of this piece coming down, there has to be a space here. Now, if you took this piece off, it now is a lot more flush to the bottom. That is another thing I plan on addressing. I'm going to find a piece to put in here to make this gap less noticeable. Now, if you notice, there's these studs that are visible here and these studs that are visible here. I plan on getting a flat 2x2 to cover these up to make the body more smooth. And in addition, there is this wide gap here where there should be another vent or air intake that I also plan to address with some other small pieces. And as I said, the reason why I haven't replaced them yet is because I wanted you to see exactly what you get straight out of the box with no additional pieces that you need to buy. Another thing about this vehicle, which is not true to the Lamborghini, is the rear spoiler or the rear wing is usually white on the Lamborghini. Here it was designed in black. I'm okay with that because I actually think it adds a nice contrast to it. In addition, the wheels of the Lamborghini were usually white. Once again, I actually like them black. And this engine compartment is not accurate because the Lamborghini usually had a solid white or black stripe running down the engine compartment. Back in the 80s, they didn't have the beautiful V12 on display like they do in the modern Ferraris and other exotics where you can see this beautiful engine. It was really just a massive engine crammed in here and it wasn't so beautiful. So this open glass is not accurate at all. And if you notice, there really is no engine view to speak of. The designer tried to make a little bit of an engine, and so what I might do is I will either make a solid black to cover this, or I will leave the open view and buy some pieces to make the engine look a little more dynamic. Another thing you'll notice is the Porsche design on the sloping brick, and that is kind of hidden under the spoiler because it's actually the front hood of the Porsche 911. That's another piece that I spent, I think, 12 cents for to replace. I also love how the designer designed the rear tail lights. On the Lamborghini, they're kind of triangular or almost hexagonal. And so this is two 2x6s on a hinge that kind of open up and give the illusion of rear tail lights. It's not solid. So one of the things that I find really creative and interesting about this vehicle is that, as I said with the tail lights, they're not perfectly solid, but they give the illusion of a rear tail light. The designer did some visual tricks with the eyes to make you think that something is some way when it's really not. What I mean by that is, once again, if you look at the doors, you see that there's this kind of triangular black shape, and that is quintessential Countach, where the door handle was triangular and had black on it, and this piece had black on it. So when you see it this way, it definitely looks like there's a black triangle. However, when you open the door up, you see that there's actually nothing here. In a real Lamborghini, this was solid here in the back of this, and it was colored black, and it also had a black windscreen here. But when it comes down, it gives the illusion of a black triangle, which I thought was really clever on the designer's part. As I said, the steering works, and overall, there's incredible functionality to the vehicle. I give the designer an incredible amount of respect to take the pieces from this set and turn it into something completely different. And for $15 for the instructions, you can't go wrong. From a visual standpoint, it looks absolutely fantastic. There are a few things that I plan on modifying to fix, but overall, to get a Lamborghini Countach out of a Porsche 911, I just think is simply amazing. Another thing is that there are stickers that you can buy, which I purchased and I'm having them delivered, where you can have the Lamborghini logo here and a few other stickers to make it look even more like a Lamborghini, but those cost extra as well. So you buy this set for $150, and you then have to buy the instructions to build this set for $15, and I've left a link in the comments for you to go and buy them. Overall, this is an incredible build. It instantly takes me back to my childhood memories, my childhood dreams. I have a few other alternate builds that I have my eye on that I'm planning on building in the coming weeks and months. If you'd like to see more videos like this, drop me a comment. That's my video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.